Hey guys, this is Ken with MinnoTank, and I'm here with RajNation Innovation. And we're going to talk about how to be your own superhero. So Raj, why don't you take it away?
What's up? Thank you for having me, Ken. So let's talk about the superhero strategy. This is one of the best ways to approach how you view your own startup and therefore how you communicate your startup to other people. So the idea behind the superhero strategy is that you have to ultimately look at your startup as a superhero at the end of the day. Because why? Well, superheroes save people, right? They help people. And what are you doing as a company? You're saving them, you're helping them from something that exists in their life. Otherwise, you wouldn't exist. But if that's the case, you have to look at what is a superhero really comprised of. And what I mean by that is take someone like Batman, for example, right? Batman doesn't save Gotham on a sunny day. Batman, if it's 85 degrees outside, parents are taking their kids to the park, you got dogs in the dog park playing with each other. If everyone's happy and everything, you don't see Batman swoop in and be like, I'm going to save you. Sorry, Batman. Lego Batman might do that, but I don't know if actual Batman would do that.
And I do appreciate the voiceover. Thank you very much for that. Value add. Keep going.
So when Batman does save the day, right, it's not on a sunny day. It's when things have gone horribly wrong. It's when Joker has blown up the hospital. It's when Bane has imploded the football field. And Bane says, and the spoils will be enjoyed. Bruce Wayne. So when those things happen are when Batman comes in and saves the day, which means as a startup, you have to follow those same principles as well if you are in fact a superhero, which you are, because again, you're saving and helping people.
Right.
So the superhero strategy, the way it unfolds is that in order for a superhero to exist, there needs to be three things that exist first. Thing one, there has to be a damsel in distress. Thing two, there has to be a village on fire. And thing three, there has to be a superpower that can be activated. And if those three things exist, then
you can exist.
The superhero can exist.
Got it. Okay.
Exactly. So what do I mean by that? All right. Damsel in distress is your target audience. Village on fire is the core problem that you are going after. And the superpower is your unique approach to solving that problem. The superhero itself, that's your company, that's the solution in which you provide. And that's how you need to view your company, as well as ultimately start communicating your company to get people to understand why you even exist. Because the point of doing that is you're able to create frame of reference, context, and empathy for the person listening. If you dive right in and you say, for example, let's think of a weird startup idea. Oh, hey, we're a XYZ app. We tell you when anytime Kevin Bacon shows up on live TV, right?
Yep.
Like there's no reason for that to exist unless you know the problem first. Now, in this crazy world where there's a Kevin Bacon app, perhaps the problem has to do with not knowing when Kevin Bacon will be appearing and you keep missing out on his greatest hits.
Fair.
Right?
Okay. All right.
So
I would be your damsel because I'm your target audience and the person who desperately needs to see Kevin Bacon every time he's on live TV.
Exactly.
So damsel exists, target market. All right.
Exactly. And your damsel in distress, you can even look at it from the view of, if you go back to one of the previous MinnoTank episodes we've done where we've walked through how to actually identify your target market, the audience funnel. You can follow that technique, you can follow that methodology and identify your damsel in distress. So if you have you know who your target audience is, maybe it's movie buffs, maybe it's Kevin Bacon diehards, you're speaking to them, you know that what their problem is, your superpower, again, that's your unique approach, your specific methodology to this problem. It could be, we put Kevin Bacon right in your hand, something like that. And then finally, your superhero, we are the Kevin Bacon XYZ app. Get all your, this is where you can explain one or two features and benefits. So that's kind of the that's the overview, the high level strategy. Okay. Now within that, I want to pinpoint a few things here, and I'll crystallize it a little bit more as I explain this. So first off, as I mentioned at the top, don't save the day too soon. And what I mean by that is don't swoop in before you've highlighted a problem. Don't be solution first, be problem first.
Right.
Always start with the problem. The second thing, I always tell every company I work with this, it is your job as a founder, as a startup, to set the village on fire and burn it to the ground, okay? Burn that, like burn baby burn.
And translate that into human speak is try to make that problem very serious, or make sure you make it a factual problem. And it's, I think one of my favorite phrases is aspirin versus morphine, right? Where this is a short-term temporary solution that doesn't really solve many problems, whereas morphine removes pain entirely.
Exactly.
So I love the aspirin versus morphine. So like aspirin is like, oh look, there's like something's on fire in the village, but like it's just that can go, right? But if the entire village is an inferno, that is morphine. This is a serious problem that has to be taken seriously. Therefore, someone's going to pay for the solution.
Yeah, and it's the morphine. Like that's a great analogy for it. I like that one a lot. I've heard vitamin painkiller as well. Vitamin versus painkiller, that is.
Yeah. Okay.
And the key here is there are a lot of founders, a lot of startups who are afraid to take a stance because they don't want to turn away an audience. They think, oh, we can't be so dramatic because then these people over here aren't gonna want to buy us. But if your audience is really people over here, you don't need to worry about the people on this side. So just know who you're going for, right? Know who your damsel is and mean a lot to them. Be dramatic with it because, and like, to how you said it there, it's not a like, how sometimes like this happens and it's a little annoying, right? No, like in your audience's world, which is the reason why you exist, it's like, this is the reality. There is no alternative. And that's why you have to come in and save the day, because for them, it's serious, it's dramatic. There's nothing out there and they need you ultimately. Yep. So be dramatic, set the village on fire and burn it to the ground. The third thing is have a kryptonite. So I was talking about Batman earlier. Let's switch over to Superman. What I mean by kryptonite is specifically within the confines of an investor pitch, be able to accurately and honestly talk about where you are looking to improve, where you feel you have a weak spot is right now. Don't be perfect, because the reality is you're not perfect. That's why you need, if you were perfect, you wouldn't need someone's money, right? And if the more sort of real you are with them, the more you can be a relatable human being, the more you have a kryptonite that exists, the more others can relate to you and want to be invested in you, both intellectually, but as well as financially. There's actually this interesting story I learned about recently. When Superman was first introduced into the comic book universe, he didn't have any infallibilities. So he was perfect.
Yeah.
And they found that the readers couldn't actually relate to him. And then once they introduced his kryptonite, did they find that readers they could identify with Superman. It was like this, the Clark Kent idea made sense. It's like regular guy by day, superhero by night. But within that, now it's like, oh, regular guy. But you know what? I'm a regular guy too. And I have things that are wrong with me. And he has things that are wrong with him. So be able to just don't avoid what's not working with your company. Don't think you can gloss over it. Don't try and bury it. Be open, be honest about it, and have a kryptonite. So that way the stakeholders you're trying to reach can in turn be interested in you and feel like you are a human being they can relate with and want to work with. So
it's a little challenging, I think, for a lot of young startups because they want to be the perfect company and they want to be, they want to be the most built out possible, no problems, everything's covered, everything's solved already. We're the best investment opportunity. I think it's hard to identify your own kryptonite. It's like when you go into any kind of interview and someone says, "What's your biggest weakness?" That's difficult, right? Difficult to like hone in on. So Raj, what would you say if I'm a young startup? Like, what is an example of a kryptonite we should underline for investors?
Yeah, and it can be something like we are still developing this version of it.
Sure.
Here's where we are today. Here's where we want to be. It can be, hey, we may not have proprietary technology, and that's, not everyone does. But, just like answering a job interview question, you talk about what are you doing to patch that up.
Change it. Okay. All right.
Could be like, hey, we have to outsource our development right now, but we want to bring that in-house, hence the need for an investment.
Got it.
You don't want to be running away from these things. You want to be leaning into them to show that you as right, because in the investment world, and most investors will tell you this, especially in the first round, pre like Series B, C, whatever. They'll all say like we bet on the jockey, not the horse.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And what they are also saying with that is they want to know that they are investing in someone who they see as a leader, right? And you don't relate to the leaders who have nothing wrong with them, right? The leaders who are perceived as perfect, we don't like that actually becomes a dictator, and you don't want to be a dictatorial type founder.
And I think we all love like the American story, right? Like this is, in the true essence of everything, this is America. And one of the reasons why Mark Zuckerberg is so attractive to everyone is that he's a young kid. Even though he went to the top Ivy League school in the USA, he dropped out and he built his own, and he forged his own path. But I think we see entrepreneurs, and more importantly, we see investors. So predominantly investors do not come from tech companies. Investors had a lot of very huge successes in taking really big risks in real estate, or in a good old-fashioned manufacturing company that just so happened to beat out or buy out all the other ones. And so actually your damsel, when you're talking about investment, is very rarely an actual tech founder. More often than not, they do something else. And they did something else, and they had to build that. Either it was their family, or it was their fathers, or it was themselves who was highly tenacious. So I think it's important to say that your damsel is actually probably not the same kind of community you are, and they want to see, what difficulty did you come through, right? How many co-founders did you already lose? So I think that's a really good phrase in saying, show me your kryptonite and help me connect with you emotionally so you can get my money.
Yeah, because these aren't robots, right? These are humans at the end of the day. Like I have done presentations in the room before, and I've talked to this specific strategy, and there have been founders in the room and there have been investors in the room. And I have been like, look, right here is a live human being investor. Do you want to have and I was like, do you want to have an emotional connection with people? And he was like, yes. And I was like, okay, point proven.
Sample size 1. Doesn't matter. Done. Got it. All right. So Raj, give us a recap of what we just learned.
Absolutely. So today what we talked about is the superhero strategy. As a startup, you have to look at yourself as your company, at what you provide as a superhero, because you are out there saving and helping a specific group of people. Mm-hmm. What that means is the superhero strategy breaks down into 4 parts. A superhero must first have a damsel in distress, aka target market, a village on fire, aka core problem, a superpower, specific approach, unique methodology, however you approach the problem. And if you have those 3 things, then you are your superhero. Batman is in to save the day. Within the superhero strategy, don't save the day too soon. Highlight the problem before you dive into the solution. Set the village on fire and burn it to the ground. Have a stance, be dramatic about it. Last thing, have a kryptonite. Don't be infallible. Don't be the one who is perfect all the time. You can relate to people better when you show them that you are in fact human too. You have these things that you're struggling with. I like what you mentioned, Ken, like, hey, we went through 2 co-founders before we found the right one. Show people, show them your hand a little bit in the sense of that you are a human being working on something you care about, and you're going to run into roadblocks. It'll help prove your own leadership skills.
Yep. I love it. And you used just now a thing we talked about last show, which is repetition. So, Raj, I want to thank you for coming on MinnoTank today. In the comments below, we're going to have links to every bit of conversation we had previously. So we referenced 2 other videos we've already had. We also have, Raj, you have a Medium article about this, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
So that Medium article is pitching your startup, burn down the FCKING village. No idea what that reference is in the middle, but burn the village down. So we'll put all that in the comments below. And thank you very much, Raj.
Thank you, Ken.